What's going on, guys, and welcome back to the Edison Club podcast. Jumping straight to the point, we're pissed. We are so angry. We have so many pet peeves that we just want to get out into the air, and that's what this episode's all about. We're going to be going over all of our Yu-Gi-Oh! Pet peeves, whether it be actually playing the game, something with the way shops do things, with Konami, whatever. We're just going to take this episode, we're going to rant about our Yu-Gi-Oh! Pet peeves. I'm joined tonight by co-host Austin Butcher and co-host Nick DeShaman. And so, who wants to go first? Let us know your Yu-Gi-Oh! Pet peeve.
Go ahead, Nick. I know you chomping at the bits. For
Okay, I wanted to jump on this one. Hey guys, Rail my dad here. The biggest pet peeve, I don't understand why nobody else gets pissed off about this, is when people don't stop shuffling their deck, especially if they're gonna search and then shuffle and then search and then shuffle. It happens way more in advanced format, and there are people I've played with for a long time and I love them as a friend, but oh my god, that's the biggest pet peeve I have that instantly jumped to mind was when people go, Rhoda, search for a certain warrior, shuffle, 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 shuffle. Okay, e-call, search for Stratos, shuffle, 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 and they take 10 minutes to shuffle, and then they go, I'll activate another e-call. I'll search for Alias. And then they shuffle, 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 and they sit there and they search, and then they shuffle, and then they search, and then they shuffle. And it's like, if I know that you're going to search 4 times, just get all the searches out of the way right now. Save everybody the time. Don't go into time, because going into time is like the worst thing ever. I can't, the amount of times I've lost in time is insane. I've never once won in time. I've only ever lost in time when I'm in a winning position. Like, I've lost in time so many times that I'm like going for a kill shot and they're like, and that's time of the round. And I'm just entering my standby phase because they searched for 25 minutes and shuffled for 30. And I'm like, oh, that was the entire match. Thanks.
Yeah, my blood is boiling just hearing you say that, because like now I know the way I've said some things on this podcast, people think that I'm no longer humble. I am incredibly humble, but
You're the most humble.
The older that I've got, the more I just do not have a tolerance for stuff like that. And I will just tell you, like, you either need to speed up or I'll just call a judge, like one way or the other. Because like, I hate getting juiced in time. It's different. Mm-hmm. Like, if I'm playing slow, I'm taking a while, I'm not going to tell my opponent to speed up, right? Like, I'm not going to do like a double standard. But like, I'll do kind of like what you said. Like, I'll go e-call, 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 or e-call, e-call, Rhoda, whatever. And I'm not going to say that I've never went Rhoda, search, and then went like, okay, e-call, because maybe for some reason you think in the moment you want to hold it. But when you're doing it constantly, I'm just like, hey, I'll shuffle if you're going to draw, like do all of your searches. I'll cut during the end phase, whatever. But that is definitely annoying. I think that some people do it. Like, I think that some people probably at locals do it unintentionally. I don't think it's malicious, but there are definitely people at like the bigger events that are like, shuffle, shuffle, shuffle. I feel like especially in advanced format, like you said, like juice you into time, 1 minute left, all scatter shot for game.
Yep. Oh my God. Like, I know most of the people because the people I play with go to my locals and they're my friends. And I'm just like, hey, so-and-so, like, you're my friend. I got to tell you, stop juicing all the time. Like, we're going to go into time. But if people do it intentionally, that's different, because obviously it's much worse if it's malicious like that. Yeah. But, like when I was playing advanced format, I was playing Bird Up. I stopped a little bit after I was playing Bird Up, and I played MathMech too, but I would search it seems like I would search like 10 times. So I would just do, activate circular, dump, do this, search, make prime material, Alimbertium, whatever the heck its name was, and then search, search, search. And then when I was completely done, if I didn't have an upstart goblin or something, I'd shuffle for 10 seconds, cut it, give it to my opponent, then they cut. All done. It takes 10 seconds to shuffle. You don't have to sit there and pile shuffle between every single search. You don't have to take 10 minutes to do it. You can only shuffle so much. At some point, there's not even diminishing returns. There's just no returns. Random is random. The deck is shuffled. Give it to me. Let me cut it. Okay, my turn. Thank you. Goodbye.
Did you know that in Magic, you're only allowed 1 pile shuffle per match?
I like that.
I think like the minimum deck count for Magic, I'm pretty sure, is 60. So I could definitely understand, it takes longer to pile shuffle 60 and you're trying to do that in between games. So I definitely understand why they don't do it, why they don't allow you to do it. You shouldn't be taking forever to shuffle your deck, even if it's like between a game or the start of the game, whatever. That definitely is a pet peeve of mine as well. So I understand how you're irritated from that.
I'll only pile shuffle like when I'm done with the match, basically. I get it if people pile shuffle like between games because they want to get their side in there, but when I'm siding, I'll just take, like, say I'm siding 5 cards, I'll just take them and I'll kind of shove them in 5 random places throughout my deck, and then shuffle it a few times normally, and then cut it a couple times, give it over. It takes me like 15 seconds, and then I'm looking at my opponent and they're still picking their side cards, and then they start pile shuffling, and I'm like, oh my god, here we go. And then they go so slow too. Like, if you're gonna pile shuffle, just be speedy about it. Nobody wants to go into time. It's
literally no one. And we'll get on the rant about the time rules here in a little while because I have a lot to say about the time rules. But
all right,
anything else you'd like to add about the shuffling?
Well, I mean, I can only reiterate this so much, but your deck can only be randomized so much. You can't randomize it more. I get it. If you want,
random is random.
Like if you want to unstick your Thunder Dragons after you do a search, okay, great. Unstick them, throw them in 3 random places, and then shuffle it up. You can't get more random than random. It's done.
Yep.
Give it up.
Yep.
All right, Butcher.
All right, Butcher. Let's hear your Yu-Gi-Oh pet peeve.
Man, I got so many, but
okay,
nothing.
Great. We love it. Love it.
Good.
Nothing just irks me more than like a rude opponent, I guess, or an overly cocky opponent, or someone who's just not a nice guy.
Yes.
Like, it just drives me up the wall. Like, I'm always trying to, especially at like big events, I always want to sit down, hey, how you doing? Shake their hand, fist pump, something.
Mm-hmm.
I've had a few, like, I don't know, just salty people, and they just, I don't know. It's like, it ruins the whole mood. Like, we're all there to win. I get it, but we're also there to have fun, enjoy the time, have a good weekend. Let's vibe out. I've had some really cool opponents, and then sometimes you just get them people that's just no matter
not pleasant. Yeah,
they're just unpleasant. Like,
you're like, what are you doing here?
Yeah, like, this isn't for you if you're not like a friendly person or you're not good with like a community or something. It drives me up the wall because you're over there trying to like have a good time, you're vibing, and no matter what you're doing, whether they're winning or losing, they're just either pissed off at the world or they just don't care.
They think that they like don't deserve to lose to you.
Yes, and it's just instant salt. You can just tell it's not going to be a good time. They start doing everything like slow playing like crazy or like reading cards. They know exactly what it does. They play it. I don't know, just up the wall.
Yeah, I can agree with that. Like, one of my pet peeves for Yu-Gi-Oh is like excessive talking throughout a match. So like, obviously I like to play against people that are friendly and they're pleasant. Sometimes, and we've all played against them, you play against people that are just, I guess, just too bubbly, too yappy. And that breaks my focus. And I'm just like, I'm not really like a mean person, but I'm kind of thinking to myself like, hey, can you like not do that? So I think it's like two sides, right? So you have the people that are like sit there with like a frown on their face the whole time, act like they hate the world. Then you have the people that are like, I'll play trade in, discarding Blue Eyes White Dragon, draw 2 cards, like they're straight out of the anime. And both of those things irritate me very, very badly. And
I'm on the same
I would
page.
rather play against the overly energetic than like, the other. But still, at the same rate, like, I'm just like, bruh, like, calm down.
Yeah, nobody wants to play against somebody who's like totally tilted, because then you're like, oh god, they're getting out all their anger at me, like they're already X2, and I'm their 3rd round opponent or whatever, and then they're just like, man, I hate playing against Burn. Oh, this guy sacked me and this, that, and the other thing. And you're like, okay, like, take it easy.
I don't
like,
do good in those situations because I just start to laugh, and then that just makes things worse most of the time. So I'm just like, if my opponent's ever salty, the first thing I do is I hand them the slip, and then I just like pack up my stuff very quickly and just walk away. Because I'm just like, the game is over. Like, as far as I'm concerned, our interaction throughout the tournament run is done. Like, I've walked away from the table salty many times, and I've never really like just sat there and had a pity party about it. I've definitely went in the bathroom and like, wanted to like swan dive off the bathroom stall into the floor before. I've been so salty, but
I know those days, trust me. But I get the overly talkative people too, because like I just want to have a nice, pleasant, sit down, have a good match with somebody. But when they're going through every play and they're like, I wonder if I should play Solemn Judgment, and they just like overly go, they just keep going and going. You're like, all right, just okay, it's fine, just make the play, like make the play. We're still on the clock here. Like I get it, you're being affable and I like that, you're friendly, but you gotta do the play. Like stop talking so much. Not that I want to speed anybody up and make them like rush and make mistakes, but there are people that just talk and talk and talk and talk, and they're like, Rhoda, what should I search with Rhoda? And there's like
look
one
through
target on
deck.
the deck.
Shuffle,
like,
shuffle, 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 shuffle. Activate.
Yes.
E-emergency call. What should I get? I'll get Stratos. Shuffle, shuffle. I'll
this
normal
will make the Gemini
Stratos.
Spark live in my hand. Ooh, this is a good idea. And they're like talking the whole time, like joking about it. And I'm like, I get it. It's funny, but like we still have a match to finish. Like, come on.
I'm like, hilarious. Stratos. Yep. Been out since 2007. Yep. Still searches heroes. Yep.
All right, we went off on a tangent. Butcher, what was your...
We did. Sorry. Redirecting back to Butcher.
Yeah, unpleasant people suck. We get it.
Oh, man. I think the next pet peeve of mine is just not wanting to see the community grow. And there's many forms of this. Like, there's forms as in, like, experienced players just don't want to help new players. But we were all there at one point. We were all, the noobs that didn't know anything.
Mm-hmm.
And I try to remember that because back in my early days or my mid days of playing Yu-Gi-Oh, I was guilty of this stuff. I'm guilty of pet peeve that I used to do. I wouldn't give, anybody I thought was worse than me the time of day, really, or especially like players. So that's like a pet peeve. Also, just, like I said, back to the vibing thing. We all need to be there for each other. We all enjoy this game. We all want to see. So we just need to do a better job of that. We don't need to shout loud or be mean. And once again, I'll admit to my faults. I do this in my early days. Boyd knows. I don't run away from it or hide it.
Yeah.
I've learned from my mistakes. So, the pet peeve of just wanting to see the community grow and not be like jackwagons to each other, or even the new players.
I think that we're in the best time as far as like community, like helping the community grow that we've probably ever seen, especially for Edison, because basically every good Edison player is also a content creator. So you have like the guys over at Little Man, YGO, Sack Phase, Hydro Pump, Frazier, James Ark. All of these guys are like really big names in the Edison community, and they all make content to help people get better. And, years ago, people kind of just gate kept all that information to themselves. And it definitely made barrier to entry for Yu-Gi-Oh! Much more difficult. So I would say now is like probably the best time as far as community goes for stuff like that. And obviously you still have people out there that, like Butcher said, they just don't like the community, don't want to be a part of the community, don't want to help the community. But I kind of think that's what Yu-Gi-Oh! Is about for the most part anyway. It's just the community.
No, yeah. And to lead into that, also, like, there's nothing wrong with spinning Edison or Goat or Advance, whatever you like. But whenever people want to bring up other formats, it's like the diehard Edison fans, I know more than anybody, they're just mad. Kind of like Goat announced over UK or something like that, or Europe, or a Time Wizard, and the Edison community just turned to salt. Like, Goat's way more popular overseas. You don't have to be salty about it. Like, it's fine. Edison anywhere.
Yeah.
Whatever people like, they like. Like, they don't need to be.
I'm like not for like crapping on what people do for enjoyment. Like obviously I've expressed many times that I do not care for advanced format, but I've never really just told anyone like, hey, you shouldn't be playing advanced. That's trash. I've said like, it's not for me. I don't like what the game is now. And that goes both ways. There are people out there, they're like, oh, Edison's a terrible format. Why do you want to play that? Like, I want to play Edison because I can build a deck for $50 and not have to worry about Konami destroying my deck in 2 months.
Yeah. And obviously, there are advanced players that say that. There's GOAT players that say it. But for some reason, more than anything, and maybe it's just where I play Edison only, but the Edison community just turns assault anytime you talk about any other format. Like, there's like YouTube beef over like Tengu versus Edison for a while. Or if anybody
Yeah,
talks
I
about
had a death threat actually for making Tengu content.
Yeah, and I'll kill you if you ever make it again.
Yeah, literally. Hold on, let me see what it was because I actually messaged Frazier and I was like, "Have you gotten hate for doing Tengu content?" And I was like, "I literally just got a death threat." I said, "Have you gotten hate for delving into Tengu?" I've gotten on YouTube in the past. I've gotten more hate on YouTube in the past 2 weeks than I ever have, and I just got to kill myself comment. And he was like, "No, I haven't gotten that type of hate." And I'm like, "Bro, I wish it was me." Yeah, people were so pissed when I was doing Tengu content for
like
that little
why
stretch.
do people not realize let's say Tengu format explodes, okay? It's good for everybody. It's good for Yu-Gi-Oh! It's good for Edison. It's good for so many things. Because then you're going to draw in more people that used to play back in the day that was diehard Tengu fans. And then that
Yeah.
gives you a chance to join the Edison community whenever Tengu kind of like either goes down, maybe they get stale, or maybe they just want to venture out. But nobody
Yeah.
wants to look at it like that. People only want to look at it as Edison or bust, Goat or bust, Advanced
I
or
think you have
bust.
to look at it through the lens of like Time Wizard format versus like Go Edison, Tengu, Hat, Toss, whatever. Because like all of our communities for Time Wizard, we're so small. We're like all niches within the Yu-Gi-Oh niche already. So
Mhm.
like as long as these things keep going, Go Edison, Tengu, whatever, I'd really believe that they'll grow into bigger tournaments than what we have right now, as long as people like keep interest in them.
Oh, yeah. It shouldn't be us against each other, though. It shouldn't be us versus the players. Really, the real
Definitely,
battle is Konami. That's
It's us versus Konami. And Konami, I know you're listening.
it is. It's definitely us versus Konami, but hasn't it always been?
because
Yeah.
Konami Time Wizard as big as they want to make it. Let's just be honest. If they would have Time Wizard only events instead of hosting it with YCSs and stuff, it would be so big.
It would also be big if they just simply did top 16 cut if they met the threshold for top 16. Because I was actually talking about it to some people earlier this week, and they're like, "Oh, when are you flying in?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm driving." And they're like, "Driving? You know, aren't you in North Carolina?" I'm like, "Yeah, we're like 8.5 hours away, but I'm not spending $400 on a plane ticket to bubble and not make top 8." You know, like if it was top 16, that would be different because like every big Yu-Gi-Oh tournament's top 16. But for it to only be top 8, it's just not really worth the investment. It's honestly not even worth the investment I put in to drive there.
That's fair. Yeah, you're right though, to bring it back about people driving a wedge between the different Time Wizard communities. Retro
Yeah.
formats should just be supported as retro formats. Like I love Goat, I love Edison. I'm open to trying Tengu. Like more people need to be a
Yeah.
little bit more open-minded and not just, oh no, Tengu sucks because it has Maxi. Oh, Goat sucks because it has Trinity. Oh, this format sucks because you can get sacked by this card. Dude, every one of them has a pro and a con that you can bitch about all day if you want.
There's
But
no.
Absolutely.
they're all fun and they're all better than advanced format. At least we can agree on that.
Oh yeah. I mean, there's no perfect format. I mean, somebody can say about every format, like you said, but I mean, what you find fun that makes it fun.
I'm not
Yeah.
trying to rail on advanced format either. I'm just playing around because I liked advanced format for a while and I'm not against getting back into it someday. It was just too expensive and too much to keep up with the meta. But you
I
know,
agree.
people love advanced format. That's fine.
Yeah. Butcher, you have anything else to say on your pet peeves here?
I think probably my a really big pet peeve. I don't know if it's my biggest, but it's kind of irked me lately. As in, people like overvalue their card condition, not just the value of their card, but the condition of their card. I feel like everybody always wants to say their card is like near mint, and it's just not. I mean,
Oh
so many people
boy.
are like,
You've actually stepped into the same room as what I have on one of my pet peeves, and we'll get to that, but you can continue.
Uh-oh.
I just irk me so bad because I've been on the receiving end of so many cards that I've ordered that's near mint. Gets here and it has a nice little ding on it, or it has like a good little chunk of the border missing, or like just bent. And it's like if you would just say the correct condition of the card, I have no
Yes.
problem with that. But I can also say I've been on the very fortunate event of ordering a damage card before. That was, I can't remember what it was. I think it was a Tengu card, and I got it for like $3 or $4, and it came. It was like near mint. I couldn't find anything wrong with it,
Nice.
Yeah.
and it ends up being like a $40 or $50 card now, and I'm just like, I mean, there's two ends to it. I think it was actually Scrap Dragon. Yeah, Ulti Scrap Dragon.
Oh
Nice.
yeah.
Yeah, I think people that are a little bit newer to not like grading cards, but if you're selling cards, vendors and stuff, they think if it's not obviously damaged, like if it's not literally bent, it's near mint. They just think there's no in between.
Yeah. Yeah. So how I kind of relate to this is literally ever since I started playing Edison, I order moderately played on everything. And I've talked about this before, because if it's a card I'm going to put in my deck, I'm going to sleeve it, I'm going to play it. I don't care if it's first edition, near mint, pristine, because I'm not putting it in a safe, right? Like, you play with your cards, you could bend a card, your opponent could bend one, it could just happen, right? So I buy moderately played. And moderately played is like scratches on the surface or like corner wear, maybe a small ding somewhere. Okay, the last 4 times, and it just happened again that I have ordered moderately played, this is all from different sellers, there have been noticeable creases in the card. So I ordered a super rare Garoth, because I have a list for Lightsworn that plays 2 Garoths. And I got one from Prescott a couple weeks ago, and it's near mint. This one was moderately played. And this thing, I'm looking at it right now, has 5 creases in it. 5 creases. So this thing is immediately damaged. If it has a crease, it's immediately damaged. And like the sellers are selling you this stuff for moderately played when it's literally damaged. And
It's
then
nerve-wracking.
a lot of times they'll like ghost me.
I think another thing that I want to add to this is I don't know how many times I've dealt with this, but like I'll order a card. I primarily order from TCG Player, but sometimes I'll do marketplace deals and other stuff. And
Mhm.
deal that's just too good to be true. Like one time I bought a Six Thunder King for $25 near mint, and they told me they shipped it or whatever. And then like 3 weeks passed. I messaged the person, and they're like, "Oh, we ran out of stock." And it's a coincidence that the cards like skyrocketed. I don't know if you remember this, boy, but when Tengu first took off, it was like
Yep.
dollars overnight, and it got ghosted on the card, and then they said that they ran out of stock.
That sucks.
Yeah, I mean,
definitely been a victim of that before.
just because the card got popular, it's like a coincidence. I've had it happen a few times, but it's hard to complain because I've also gotten some really good deals.
You
But
want
I
me
mean,
to tell
it's like,
you one place that will literally never cancel your order because of a price hike?
what's that?
Troll and Toad. Everybody craps on Troll and Toad, and I'll admit, oftentimes they are more expensive than TCG Player or Marketplace. But I used to only ever order exclusively from Troll and Toad because, and I still will if I have a really big order, like 2 or 3 decks. But I always got my cards. They were always the right edition. They were always the right condition, even though there's like the meme, haha, Troll and Toad near mint. And they never canceled an order for me.
Good. Yeah, you know
Never a
what's
single
funny?
time.
That Troll and Toad brings me back when I first started playing. Like when I first started going to locals, not little kid Yu-Gi-Oh, but like adult Yu-Gi-Oh, like 18, 19, 20. Every time you were asking somebody for a trade or for a value on their card, it was either eBay or Troll and Toad. There was
Yeah.
no TCG Player. That was
Yeah, I
like the
remember the
thing.
Troll and Toad days only.
Yeah.
Bro, my first order from Troll and Toad, my mom mailed them a check.
Nice.
Mailed them a check for Yu-Gi-Oh cards. Because like my family was like kind of like tinfoil hat about putting debit card numbers on stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
So they would literally just mail places checks. And my first order from Troll and Toad, literally I mailed them a check for my first ever order. It's still on there.
I found that list I mentioned before we started recording. So I play a lot of Goat with my wife. Like we basically play Goat every single day together. And she refuses to play Edison with me. So, don't no shame towards her, but she doesn't want to understand synchros or tuners or anything. So that's fine. But she can understand Goat. So I taught her Goat. She's pretty good now, and we play all the time. And the deck that she like absolutely despises the most that I play a lot is Earth Aggro. And she sent me a list of she wants her own personal Yu-Gi-Oh rules. So she made these house rules for us, and it's 8 pet peeves that she has, and basically all of them are related to my Earth Aggro deck. So number
That's
one,
hilarious.
She's wicked funny. Like, she's in the other room right now. She's probably listening to me talking shit about her. But the first rule is no ring of destruction for a draw. Because the amount of times I've been on the back foot, I'm in a losing position, and I'm like, I'm at like 1,200 life points, and she's at like 3,000, and she has a BLS. I'm like, ring for game? And she goes, no! She hates it. She cannot stand it. But, you know, that's why ring is so busted. Also, I'm using a really, really heavy filter, because when she sent me this list, she swears like a trucker. So, like, I have to really be careful and reel it in, because she's like, you know, trucker mouth. All right. You can play Injection Fairy Lily, but you can't pay life points to boost her attack when someone else is trying to attack you. So she doesn't want me to use Injection Fairy Lily to defend myself. I can only do it when I'm attacking with her and pay the 2,000. So that's her second rule. This one's interesting. Royal Decree banned.
Royal Decree banned. Not Decree.
I can never use it. I don't use it in Earth Aggro. I use it in my goat control deck. But oh my god, yeah, because the amount of times I've used Decree on her Sakuretsu armor or something, she's like, oh my god, I hate this fucking card. Number 4, chain links resolve in a way that make actual sense, not backwards. Because I've had to explain so many times, like, oh, if I attack you and you activate Sakuretsu armor, I can chain Book of Moon, and Book of Moon will resolve first, flipping my guy, and then your Sakuretsu won't have a target. And she goes, that doesn't make any sense. It's backwards. And I'm like, I know. It was really, really hard to explain at first, but she still hates that chain links resolve backwards. Okay, here's one with no filter. Number 6. You can't creature swap scapegoat tokens like a bitch. Yep. I play a lot of goat control and a lot of chaos control too, and the amount of times it's my turn and I flip a scapegoat token to attack mode and I creature swap it, she nearly flips the table every single time, and she's like such a sore loser when that happens too. Like, I'll creature swap either an attack position scapegoat or a sinister serpent, and I'll just steal some big boss monster every time. She can't stand it. So that one makes sense, but god, I love doing that. That's such a satisfying creature swap. Number 7, you can't use mind control to flip someone else's card and get the benefits, because I'll steal her Gravekeeper's Spy, I'll steal her Magician of Faith, I'll steal her Dekoichi, and then I'll flip it up and I'll get the stuff out of it. And she's like, oh my god, this is the worst thing ever. I'd rather be Nobleman, because watching somebody else get the benefit after using the mind control is just so frustrating. So I get it, but come on. And the rule number 8, DD Assailant is banned because she's so fucking annoying.
I love that. I love these house rules.
Ban it completely. I'm not allowed to use DD Assailant. That card's so good.
DD Assailant is good. Well, I'm glad that you have developed house rules for Yu-Gi-Oh! That have probably inevitably also saved your marriage at this point. So that is nice. If you're listening at home, we don't abide by any of them. Take notes. Okay, well, let me... we'll go back around for more pet peeves, but let me get on a tangent about mine. I have 2. The first one is when people want me to explain to them how to play their deck, which I will not do at this point in Yu-Gi-Oh! If it is at locals and you have a question, I will help you, but like any of the Konami events or like cash tournaments or whatever, I'm just like, if you don't know how it works, call a judge, because I'm not like gonna explain how this works. Like, you know, if someone's like, oh, if I summon a monster with Whirlwind on the field and you bottomless, do I get the effect? And I'm just like, I don't know. Go for it. I'm just like, I don't know. Go for it. I don't know. You can summon it, and I might bottomless it, and then we'll find out. But like, I'm not just gonna tell you, because like, if you don't know, then you know, like the kind of the way I look at it is like, if you're gonna play Yu-Gi-Oh competitively, like you should know things like that. You know, like there's a difference in not knowing that and not knowing like sub-step 6 of the damage step when Doom Caliber Knight negates this monster while there's 3 other chains, right? Like, I'd have to call a judge myself on that. But it really is a pet peeve when people ask me to explain like how their deck works to them. When I just like invest a lot of time into like knowing how like every interaction in the game works. So I don't like having to do that, and it happens at least once every tournament, at least these bigger tournaments, and I do hate that. Like people are like, oh, can I oppression your Judgment Dragon? I'm like, I don't know, bro, can you? I don't know. Why don't you know that oppression is in your deck?
Purposely doing that just to see what they can get away with, or do you always feel like people are just, I'm not gonna say that dumb, but you know what I mean, like they just don't put the time into the game?
I think they just don't put the time into the game, which also is like a pet peeve to me in itself, because I think like if you're going to play a format like Edison, you should really be playing to improve and like trying to actually get better, not just like playing at the bare minimum, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I feel like sometimes though people just want to see what they can get away with.
Yeah.
Like,
And like I said, like that's not me at locals and me at like Ultimate Time Wizard are not the same person, because like at locals, obviously I go to locals to have fun and play with people, and I still go to Ultimate Time Wizard for the same thing. But you know, at the Time Wizard, I'm like, I really want to make top 8. Like this is pretty cutthroat out there versus like at your Switch tournament. Like if you don't win, are you really even getting anything? So that's like the little one I wanted to touch on. The big one we kind of touched on earlier is when people cheese you into time. And I've been fortunate enough that I have only ever went into time 3 times playing Edison format. It has been 3 times. The first 2 were because I was learning the format and I played way too slow. It took way too long to make decisions. The third one was at Nationals last year when my opponent was 15 minutes late to the round and they did not give him any game losses or any penalties or anything for being 15 minutes late.
Oh my god!
I went into time. Yep. So I feel like I play at a pretty reasonable pace, and I'll tell people to speed up. You know, like, and thankfully no one's ever really given me lip about it, because like at that point I'll just call a judge and they can keep up with the pace of the game. But like that's kind of like my courtesy is like, hey, can you like play a little faster and stuff like that. But it hasn't really been a problem for me. In Edison, and it probably wouldn't be a problem for me in Advanced with kind of how I am now, because I would just simply tell people to speed up. But there's nothing worse than people cheesing you into time and then either gaining life or burning for life. I absolutely hate that. It's awful. The time rules for Yu-Gi-Oh are terrible. I don't know who came up with them. They're absolutely awful. And I don't know if you guys have heard Scott Page, his take on what the time rules should be, but I think it's genius, and I think that that's the way the time rules should be. So essentially, his idea for time rules is that when you sit down to play, you have an hour to play. All 3 games. You have 1 hour. When the clock goes off, if there's not a winner, you both lose. And I think that if you adapt that into Yu-Gi-Oh, 1 hour round, when the clock goes off, if there's no winner, the game is over. You both lose. I think that gets rid of slow play. I actually think the rounds will take less than an hour because people will no longer slow play because there's no reason. And it takes away getting cheesed in time by cards like Volcanic Scatter Shot. It just takes all of that away. You have to play at a reasonable pace or you'll just both lose. And then you don't have to worry. You don't have to worry about people like the problem with like the 0 through 4, 2 turns apiece system was people taking 45 minutes to play 4 turns. So I understand why they took that away. And it did significantly shorten the length of events. But I think that there are ways you could do it better to where you don't have people like slow play and try to cheese you in time.
See, I think it with a 45-minute timer when they went from 40 to 45 minutes.
Yeah.
And then time thing, I think the 45 minutes should be you both lose. If you honestly get 45 minutes, you should lose.
Yeah, I can agree with that. Like,
I just don't. The person who sat there and shuffled for 20 minutes and searched 37,000 times.
But see, it would also deal with that. It would deal with people because there'd be no point in sitting there shuffling unless, I guess, your whole reason for existing in the tournament is just to like cheese people out of their wins. But like, I just feel like I would rather get a double, like, we both lose than the clock goes off and you go scatter shot effect burn for 5 and the game is over. Something about that just irks me. I really hate that.
Yeah, I've never been into time in Edison either. Honestly, I don't think I've been in time in Goat, which is kind of crazy. But the only time I've been in time, which is like 4 or 5 times or more, is advanced format, and it's because of the amount of searching and the amount of comboing.
Yeah.
But Edison and Goat just don't have that. It's like, okay, T set, your turn. T set, your turn. All right, one move, your turn.
Yeah. The games go by much quicker. So
Yep.
I agree with him. Like, no one would literally change my mind on that. I think that's some version of that is how time should be handled. And I think it just cuts down on people just cheesing each other and slow playing and stuff like that. So and then my other pet peeve I have written down was like stores not knowing how to grade their cards correctly, like sending you moderately played, but it looks like you carried it in your pocket. Stuff like that really irritates me. So we went around the table here, and I guess we can go back to Nick. Do you have any other ones you want to talk about?
I'm racking my brain right now trying to think if there's anything. Let me see.
Austin, do
There's
you
nothing
have
that
one while Nick's
comes to
thinking?
mind.
I think I've covered the big ones. I mean, I have like a bunch of micro ones, but it's really just nitpicking, I guess. I mean, some of the little ones is just hygiene. Like,
Yeah.
Oh my
Speaking
God,
of
yeah.
hygiene, you should go and listen to the episode with Brandon Crank. You'll
I was
thank
just
me
gonna
later.
say that. You should listen to the Crank episode. Dude, he was ranting.
He
Oh
was.
my
That
God.
episode is
that's
That
a
was
unhinged.
full
so funny.
loophole right there because, I mean, not only do I want people to come with like wearing deodorant, wear like presentable clothes. Don't be freaking. I mean, it's super inappropriate, and sometimes it's more of the women that do that. Just revealing too much. Don't really care for that. But then the guys are in there with just torn up shirts. They stink. Look like
Yeah.
they ain't like a week.
Yeah, you'd think you'd get that smell more at like a Magic the Gathering tournament, but I went to a Switch tournament like a few weeks ago at Picante, I think, and I walked in there and I was like, there's like a slight like musky BO like mildewy
Yu-Gi-Oh!
smell, and
Yu-Gi-Oh
it's
is in
just
the
coming.
air. The smell of Yu-Gi-Oh
Yeah,
in the
it's just
air.
the smell of Yu-Gi-Oh, and I was like, this just isn't nice. Like, oh man, this is weird. I couldn't pinpoint it either. I was like a little bit coming from everybody. And I'm just looking all
Yeah.
around me like, who is it? Who's this
I
coming
tell
from?
people. I tell people. Maybe I shouldn't, but I
I
kind
don't
of
know
go
who.
off of the
I really don't know
philosophy
who,
like
but
if I play Yu-Gi-Oh all day long, especially in the winter cuz I like wear sweatpants and stuff, you're going to sweat and your cheeks are going to sweat. And if I stink, I would
hell
want
yeah.
someone to tell me, like so I'm just like, "Hey, I'm not explicitly like, "Hey, you stink" in the middle of like dead silence during the middle of a round, but I'm like, "Hey, I think maybe your deodorant's not working. Can you like take care of that?" So, and
They go, what deodorant? What do you mean?
yeah, what deodorant? Dude, I
I'm
can't.
not
How am I
wearing
supposed
any.
to afford deodorant? Dude, do you not want me to be able to afford Ulti Dark Arm? Like, look at this thing. You pull it
Yeah,
out,
my
and
whole deck is
there's like
Ulti
hairs all
Burst.
over it. It stinks. They've been carrying it in their
Yeah.
armpit. But yeah, hygiene. Please wash yourself.
And even your hands. Like sometimes, like when you go to the bathroom, if you're somebody like me, you go about 20 times a day at a Yu-Gi-Oh
Yes.
event because I just drink a ton of water and stuff. But people don't wash their hands. They just go
Ew, that's so gross. Yeah,
straight.
just don't. Ugh. And they have to touch your cards. You're both gonna touch each other's cards. Like,
Yes. It's so then it's like how many times have they played with people that don't wash? Then you shuffle their deck, and then you may have time to go to the bathroom in between rounds. But if you don't, then you play somebody else and shuffle their deck. It's
Yeah.
like
After every event like that, like not locals, but any large event, I take my sleeves off when I get home and I immediately throw them away. Because like you said, like how many people have like either not washed their hands or scratched their butt or picked their nose or something worse and then touch my cards, and then like I'm at home hand shuffling and then all of a sudden I touch my eye and then I get sick or something.
mm-hmm.
or boys like I'll just give them all to Butcher and let him get sick. That's
Yeah,
been your plan.
that's true.
There you go.
I'm picking.
That's true.
Eliminate the competition.
I have given you some cards.
It
There are
actually
some
makes me
card
want
sleeves.
to go. It makes me want to go into my living room right now and like take all of my decks that I have put together and just Lysol the outside. Just like wipe all the sleeves off.
People
Because I
used to
think I have
Windex their
7 decks
sleeves
put
back in
together
the
right
day.
now. Use Windex.
Yeah, people used to do that way back when with like their
Oh my god,
player's choice white sleeves, like unsleeve their deck and like actually clean their sleeves.
that's not a bad idea. I mean, I think I bought like probably 10 packs of Lagoon Dragon Shields. So almost every single deck I have is in the same colored sleeve, so I can like swap staples in and out.
Yeah.
Because I think I have like Earth Aggro, Chaos Control, Turbo Warriors, Chaos Warriors, and like Cyberstein OTK, and then I've got Black Wings, my Instant Fusion Zombie Skeleton, and I've got Machina Control, which it's officially called Machina Control, by the way. So everybody, you heard it here first. That was on Hydro Pump, his little community survey, and he
Oh
asked
yeah.
what the official name was going to be. So it's called Machina Control. You guys don't have to worry. You don't have to call it anything else. It's just Machina Control. But is it Machina or Machina? I don't know. Don't ask me.
Yeah. He's just the
But
cameraman.
anyway, I want to go wipe all those sleeves off, and just in case anybody's ever touched them with dirty, grimy fingers.
Yeah. Another pet peeve of mine is when people look at your deck when they shuffle it.
Yep.
And that one, I didn't know until very recently that you are able to final cut your deck. So if anyone picks up my deck and looks at it, I immediately final cut after and, you know, hand it back to them and like, hey, you can just cut. And if they pick it up and shuffle it, I do it again. Because there've been a lot of tournaments that I've played in my life where I left the table not knowing if what just happened was like legitimate or not. Like just because obviously Yu-Gi-Oh is a game of probability, and just because it's a 1% chance, I mean, that can happen one game out of 100 times. You know, that can happen where you draw, you know, your rescue cat and your 4 targets for rescue cat. Like it can happen.
Oh yeah.
But I've walked away from the table a few times, not playing Edison, but when I was still in advanced, and I'm just like, something about that didn't seem right. Like, yeah. So
I wish you could tell like the people that are not like professionally trained, but people that are like really, really good at shuffling, like sleight of hand almost.
yeah,
Because I heard rumors about that when I think it was the 3v3 in Vegas, which makes sense because if there's like blackjack dealers or poker dealers in Vegas that also happen to play Yu-Gi-Oh or whatever, you don't know what they're doing with your cards. Because like
yeah,
I think James Ark was saying something about how he was playing Vayu in like Top Cut, and he opened it and it was like 6 traps, and he goes, "That's like a 0.05% chance of happening. It like never ever happens."
yeah,
But it happened in Vegas, and he's like, "This is really odd." And his teammates like almost had the same experience, and they were like, I wonder if something funky is going on with the shuffling right now."
yeah,
But I don't know how to tell unless I see you looking at my cards. And like most of the
yeah,
time, people are really like overly courteous when they shuffle, and they'll like shuffle with, you know, the face down and like kind of look away and just do some waterfall shuffles and cuts. And I'm like,
yeah,
okay, clearly you're not stacking my deck, but I don't know what people's capabilities are. So
yeah.
it can definitely happen.
I've also learned too something I actually picked up from remote duels, which I never thought I would learn anything from remote duels, is now I never pick up and actually shuffle my opponent's deck. I'll just cut, but I'll cut differently every single time. So like the first time I might cut the first 5 and then put the bottom on top, or I might cut to the bottom 5, put those on top, or in the center 3/4 of the way through. So that way, I mean, like you can't stack through your deck when you have no idea what your opponent's going to do. Because like in remote duels, you would have to ask your opponent, like, how do you want me to cut? And they would be like, I'll put the top 15 on the bottom. Or they might, then the next time they might say, put the top 6 on the bottom. So it's kind of like the same philosophy there that like, if I never cut the same way, then, you know, they're not going to be able to like cheat. And it really sounds bad when you just immediately assume your opponent's cheating, but I feel like most people do not, but you kind of know the warning signs immediately. It's kind of just like a instinctual thing when you sit down across from somebody and they're just acting kind of suspect to begin with.
Yeah, they're like shady, and you're like, oh, I just saw you peek at the bottom of my deck when you're shuffling.
Yeah.
So now you know what I'm playing. Like,
Yeah,
maybe
I just
you're not gonna
I just
know
saw you
what
walking
card
away
I'm
from the
drawing.
vendor's table and you got 15 mats stuffed down your pants. You know, like
Little sus.
that kind of thing. Yeah. So shuffling's definitely our pet peeve because we've talked about shuffling a lot. But we're at 45 minutes. We can go about another 10 minutes roughly. You guys have anything else? Nick, did you ever think of another one?
No, I'm just concentrating on the ones that we're talking about.
This is my pet peeve when
Um,
Yu-Gi-Oh players can't make decisions.
yeah, that's true. Oh man, I hate when I do that. It is honestly a big pet peeve when people take way too long to make the most simple play ever. Like, it's not.
Yes.
I don't even know if you're trying to slow play me, but like, I
Yeah.
heard
Looking at the clock,
Fraser
2
talk about
minutes
it.
have passed, and your opponent goes, set Raiko, go ahead. And you're like,
Yeah, set Ryko,
what
and it's
what
like,
in your
what
hand could
else
you have possibly done differently? You know, like, yeah, that's annoying. And I actually thought of one just now that someone sent me earlier today. If I come to locals and I say, does anyone have this card? And you're like, yes, I have it, but it's at home. Like, then just don't tell me you have it. If I need it for today, you having it at home 45 minutes away isn't helping me. All you did was like you saw the light in my eyes like brighten and then immediately like just go crashing down in flames.
Yep.
You know, I just thought of another one, and I'm probably guilty of this. Boyd, you can just be honest.
Okay.
But when you ask for somebody's trade binder, and they hand it to you, and then you start going through it, and like 80% of everything in there is not for trade.
I'm guilty
It's
of
all
this.
upside down.
But to be fair, I tell people up front, I'm like, hey, this is like just how I organize my cards. There might be like 3 cards in there I'll get rid of. So I understand I'm guilty of it as well. That kind of branches off from a pet peeve of mine where it's like I no longer bring a binder with intentions to trade at a Yu-Gi-Oh tournament because everybody is just trying to like trade from you at 60% and then trade back to you at 100%, and I just don't. It's just not worth it to me. Like, if I pull a $100 card out of my entry pack, I'll go sell it to the vendors for 60% because that's still 60% profit for me, and I don't have to work to sell it. But like, if I just have cards in my binder and you're like, hey, you know, would you do 50% on these? I'm like, you can go fuck yourself. No, I'll just keep it. No, and that irritates me to the point where I no longer take my binder with me to Yu-Gi-Oh events.
I thought of one that kind of comes full circle back to Butcher's first one, and it's about sportsmanship. I don't really play online that much, but I watch people play online. Like, I watch a lot of YouTube, and shout out to the Pokey Rapper, who's like a really, really good Edison duelist. I don't know if you guys know who he is, but I was watching him play on DB one time, and he was playing on some match on the ladder, and he was like, hey, how's it going, like, good luck, have fun. Like, he's always so nice to his opponent. He's like super courteous and always, you know, tries to be friendly. And the guy didn't answer at all, and he's
Yeah.
like, hey, you know, just okay, that's fine, we'll just play the game, whatever. And they're playing along, and he's like, oh yeah, that's fine, whatever, just be nice. And the guy summons a dark arm dragon, and I think the only card he had on his field was a Lightsworn Arcus Druid, whatever that, you know, that one that can't be targeted.
Oh no, I know where this is going.
Yeah, and so the guy summons his Dark Armed, and he has he has like a Goyo Guardian on the field or whatever. And so he goes, all right, banish for Dark Armed, and he clicks on the Arcus and targets it. And then
And that guy's
Poke
like,
Rapper goes,
nope, you can either pop
yep,
your Goyo or you can pop your
yeah,
own Dark Armed.
you have to pick a target. And then he's like, oh, I didn't know Arcus said he can't be targeted. He goes, nope, too late. You were already a bad sport. You didn't say good luck, have fun. You didn't say anything. It's
Yeah.
too late.
And you've
already
legally
paid off
activated Dark Arm Dragon's effect.
Yep.
Dark Arm can destroy
Pick a
your own
target.
cards.
Yep. So he was like, you know what? I'm going to punish you for not being a nice person. And I love that.
Yeah.
I thought that was so funny.
It's even better if he like chooses to pick the Dark Armed and attacks into Arcus and gets hit with Honest and just basically OTK'd himself.
God, yeah. I don't remember what happened. Like the rest, I just remember it was a Dark Armed and it was an Arcus. I don't remember what else was on the field, but I thought it was so funny because
I'm the same way.
Try to be nice.
So like my opponent
nice,
at YCS Raleigh like a month ago, round 1, he was playing Frogs, and very similar situation. I had Arcus on the field as my only card, and he goes normal summon Ryza or tribute summon Ryza, and he was like, "I'll bounce your Arcus," and I'm like, "Oh, he can't be targeted," you know. So like, and this guy was super cool. I really enjoyed our match. I actually added him on Facebook. I won't say his name, but he was a really cool guy. So I was just like, "Nah, man, you're good. Like, you're fine." But it like, had that been the opposite side of the coin, and the guy was mean, I'd have been like, "Oh no, you put your Ryza back on top of the deck." You know?
Oh yeah,
like,
100%. If
That's
somebody's
like that
cool,
goes back to
I
like
will
the
let you take
respect
back
thing.
plays.
Like if you're just like if you're a kind person and obviously it's round one, both of us are nervous. I'm not gonna like go out of my way to like juice you on something. I wouldn't do that to anyone. But like if
Yeah,
you're
and
just
you don't have
like
to
you have a
shark
bad
somebody
attitude
that's
from
like
the minute you sit
not.
down, then like no, not a chance.
Yeah, like I'll go to like set a monster and I'll like take my hand off it and go, oh, actually, I don't think I want to set it. Can I take that back? And they're like, yeah, okay, that's fine. And I take it back to my hand. Now you have a mulligan. So if I see you screw something up or you want to take back a play, I'm gonna be cool back and go, yeah, you're cool. Like you don't want to activate Call of the Haunted. Like, yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
Just be cool. Like just match your opponent's energy. Like if they're gonna be kind of cool and a little bit lenient with you making misplays, do the same with them. Don't shark somebody just because you feel like it, But if
Yeah.
they're definitely coming out of the gate and they're coming out swinging and being a jerk, by all means say, yep, you're bouncing your own Ryza. That's going to the top.
Yeah, that's going to the top. You can try to summon it again next turn, but this turn it's going back to the top.
Yep.
Yeah. But yeah, that guy was really, really chill. So obviously no problems there,
Oh yeah, I way, way, way prefer when people are just a little bit more casual about it. Oh yeah, sorry, can I take that back? Yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
I
Just
love that
don't be
example
an
you gave where the guy had to dark arm and pop his own Goyo Guardian just because he was just being rude, and that is so hilarious. That's like
I'm not sure if it was
whoever
Goyo, but
that
it was
player
something
was
else.
that had dark arm on the field, they should have done some self-reflection after that game and been like, had I not been like a stick in the mud, would that guy have let me not do that?
Yeah, I mean, if he goes back and watches his YouTube now, he's going to go, oh, shit, if I just said, hey, or good luck, have fun, or just acknowledged that there's another human being on the other side of the screen, he would have just let me take it back. I would have not had to pay my cost, and I could have killed him. But no,
Exactly.
I was too mean.
Yeah, that's the thing. Always be humble. Always remember where you came from. Under most circumstances. Some circumstances, I'm just always like, when the chips are down, like, I don't care. It's a card game. Like, you're not going to disrespect me.
Yeah. That's why I really don't like playing online. Like, I might do it if it was like an online locals or if it was an actual tournament, but just playing on DB ladder, for example, like I've had a lot of good experiences the few times I've played randoms, but the amount of either bad experiences or just people that are not, I'm not going to say like they're stupid, but they don't know blatantly obvious rulings. Like,
yeah,
for example, I wasn't on the ladder, but I played like a quick Edison game with a random just in the, the Edison pool, and they attacked into my Raikou that was face up, and I used Book of Moon on it, and he goes, you can't do that. And I'm like, you're telling me I can't activate Book of Moon on an attack declaration? Get the fuck out of here. Like,
yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I actually made a brand new profile for Dueling Book when Edison Ladder came out because I'm like, because my normal account is like my name. So I'm like, I am not going to get on here and be like over the moon friendly with people when they're like being a dick to me. I'm just going to be a dick right back.
Oh yeah, because you're just another random right now. You're not Edison Club Mike.
Yeah, and like if I'm on Dueling Book, right? Like, because I never get on Dueling Book. If I have like a day home from work, I'm on Dueling Book, and you're like, cheating or whatever, I'll call a judge and I'll let it sit there the whole day. Like, I'll come back in the room and shake the mouse. Like, we can do this as long as you want to, Like, and that's another thing because people like try to trap you, like hoping that you'll leave. Because on Dueling Book, sometimes it can take forever to get a judge. But for me, I'm just like, no, buddy. Like, I hope you're enjoying sitting there. I'm gonna go out and go mow my lawn.
Oh my God, dude! I was reading about this on one of the discords like yesterday, and they said I'm being held hostage by somebody because they're cheating, and I called a judge, and now they won't leave, or like the judge is taking forever, and everybody was like, "Oh, just quit and try a new match. Oh, just quit and try a new match."
Yeah,
so
same.
it sucks, yeah, for these people that like love the ladder and like want to increase their ranking and their rating or whatever. You're like subject to the whims of like these assholes online that have like unlimited free time and can just shark you and cheat and like wait on judges all day. That's why I like to test with people that I know. Like if you're my friend or you're on my team, I'll play with you all day, every day online. I prefer cardboard, but if I know you, I'll play with you online all day. That's totally fine. But playing with randoms online is just a nightmare.
Yeah, like if I'm testing for an event and I encounter someone like a troll, even if it's on ladder, if I don't feel like, waiting 4 hours for a judge, I'll just leave the game. I'll be like, it's not worth the fake XP to me. Like if I'm trying to like test for something.
Mhm.
And then you have sometimes people on there that'll like PM you on Dueling Book and they're like, haha, you're a little bitch, you left the game. And I'm like, okay, have
Oh
fun.
my god.
Go and enjoy yourself. Like I'm not going to lose sleep over losing to you, like Noob Master 51 or whatever you are. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not going to lose sleep over it. Like, congratulations, your Endymion deck beat one person by default. Good job. Speaking of Endymion, by the way, this isn't a pet peeve, but that deck is actually really scary.
Ooh, wait, what format?
Edison format. The Endymion, it's not good. It's not good in like a competitive sense, but it's good in the sense of like I sat down and played against it one time on ladder, and it took me to game 3 and it almost beat me.
Ooh, that's kind of cool. I like that.
Because they can just like, they have a lot of counters. They have like a big guy that can like summon when you have like X number of counters. And I don't remember if he's in a gate or a pop, but he was doing like a lot of ridiculous things. And I was like, and I'm playing Lightsworn, a deck that's like,
Yo, that sounds sick.
I can't really stop anything you're doing. I just have to like interact with you like on my turn. So yeah, I think it was a Carpath deck. You should definitely check it out.
That sounds so cool. I like decks that have like spell counters. Like I love spellcasters too. I don't know what my favorite type of monster would be, but I love Breaker. And I just won a game. I was playing with my buddy the other day, and I won. He had 3 set cards. I think it was like a hamster, a spy, and a Raikou, and he had 500 or 300 life points left. And I had a Lila on the field. I stacked for Plague and summoned a Tempest Magician and burned him for 500. I was like, yes, this is the best thing ever. Oh.
Nice. Okay, well, it's about that time, guys. I have YCS Indy this weekend. This episode will be uploaded on Friday. I'll be driving to Indianapolis when this goes live. So if any of you are listening and you're at Indy, I am doing a vlog, and I would love to have people in the community be a part of that. Essentially what I'm going to do is I'll walk up to people that want to be included in the video, and I'll ask, what would you do if you won the Ultimate Time Wizard? And that'll be kind of like a compilation included in the vlog, so you can kind of be included in an Edison Club video, which would be pretty cool. Me personally, if I win, I'm going to use the prize money to pay for my sister's eye surgery, so I really hope that I can win.
What are you, Joey?
Yeah, my sister is blind. Her name is Serenity, so I need to be able to win to get the prize money so she can see again.
I need to finish rewatching that.
Oh no, it's not a joke.
Butcher.
the awkward silence.
Dude, I was just watching Yu-Gi-Oh! Like a couple of months ago, and I was like, no, I don't remember Joey's sister's name, but...
You go to Facebook and you look up my sister, her name's Serenity, and she's blind. Okay, guys. Well, I hope that you all have enjoyed this unhinged episode of the podcast. This is Mike, Austin, and Nick signing out until the next one, and good luck to everyone going to YCS Indy.